So at risk of alienating a good portion of my audience, I'm going to address something that's been on my mind for a while. And if you couldn't tell by the title of this video, that something is Linux fanboyism and the general circle jerk around Linux as a desktop platform in general. Now, forewarning, I'm going to use harsh language in this video, and if you consider yourself in the group of Linux fanboys, you're probably going to leave this video with your feelings hurt, and if that's the case, too bad. Now, years and years ago, when I first started using Linux, the community had a really bad reputation for being very hostile and generally unfriendly, especially to new users. You can see artifacts from this time. If you just go to Google and type in hostile Linux community or something of that nature, you'll see a lot of posts from like 2005, 2008, and sometimes 2012, 2013, where people are asking, hey, is the Linux community really this hostile? I just got bitched out by somebody, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely less of an issue today than it was before, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. In the past year or two, I've seen a huge resurgence of this attitude, and I'm going to place the blame squarely on popular folks in the Linux YouTube community and other popular Linux websites in general. Making content, whether it be videos or articles, trying to fan the flames of the anti-Microsoft and anti-proprietary sentiment is, I guess it's a business model. I mean, that is one way to get views and readers on your article. And unfortunately for our community, it works. It works really well. There are still a lot of people in the Linux community that are just really hateful, toxic people that want to sit behind their Linux computers, know nothing about anything, and bitch about how evil Microsoft is, bitch about how evil proprietary software is. The world is more open, and I mean both in open standards and in open source today, than it has ever been before. For example, Microsoft has more open source projects on their GitHub, not Codeplex. They have a GitHub account, and they have more open source projects on there than some of the largest companies out there. Microsoft is actively deprecating lots of their proprietary software. Take, for example, web forms and ASP.NET technology. That is being deprecated in favor of an open source alternative. NVIDIA is another company that's in the crosshairs of these fanatics. Now, I've already made a couple videos about NVIDIA and their drivers this year, but yes, the NVIDIA driver is proprietary. Get the fuck over it. And yes, almost half a decade ago, Linus did that stupid-ass thing where he told NVIDIA to fuck off. Yep, he did that. That was a long time ago. It is time to move the fuck on. NVIDIA, albeit occasionally, contributes to the open source driver in an unofficial capacity, but at least they do something. In the 90s, activity like that would be completely unheard of. But pretty much all software today is built on the shoulders of open source technology. So there is literally no fucking reason to act like proprietary software is just going to somehow take over the planet. It's not going to. And likewise, free and open source software is also not going to suddenly take over the world. Now, a really unfortunate side effect of the toxic members of the Linux community bitching about everything is when companies don't want to invest in Linux as a platform. There's probably no better example of this than when the developers behind Witcher 3 strongly implied that the reason why they didn't port Witcher 3 was because of the Linux community. Now, the previous game, Witcher 2, was ported to Linux, but it used a compatibility layer. And those hostile loudmouths in the Linux community flipped the fuck out. They wanted a native port, and they thought that it was absolutely bullshit that The Witcher 2 ran on this compatibility layer. Now, I know there's more to the story, right? Like, The Witcher 2 didn't run well when it was launched and all this other shit. But just because the game doesn't run well does not give people the right to take to Twitter, to take to forums, and start verbally attacking the company and attacking individual developers. Seriously, developers at the company set their Twitter profiles to private so that people couldn't message them. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Just because a game runs on a compatibility layer, it's not a native Linux port, that means it's okay for you to verbally assault a developer at the company? Now, I know that isn't specific to the Linux community, but if you go to the post on Reddit, there's a lot of people that support the guys that did that. Like, we as a community should not be defending or supporting that kind of behavior. And likewise, we shouldn't be writing articles or making videos promoting that kind of attitude. You want to use Windows? That's cool with me. You want to use AMD or NVIDIA proprietary open source? Hey, that's cool with me too. You want to port a game to Linux and have it run on Wine? Meh, that's cool. Why can't the Linux community be more like other communities and just be happy that we have a platform that we can now play games and stuff on? 10 years ago, it was hard to get things like games or other popular software to run. Now, in 2018, there's a lot more investment and more development going on in the Linux space, and it is very possible, more so than ever before, than to use Linux on your desktop. So I think I'm going to end the video on this note. To the Linux community at large, proprietary software is not out to get you. Microsoft is not out to get you and to steal your platform away. It is not the 1990s. It's not even the early 2000s anymore. The world has changed, and Microsoft and proprietary software, they just don't work that way anymore. It's time to move on with the times, let your past grudges go, and just embrace things the way that they are. And to the popular Linux YouTubers and other news sites out there, stop agitating the community with articles and videos about how Microsoft and proprietary software are coming to take over and steal your data and all this other stuff. Stop that. What you do by producing that content is provide that toxic part of the community that nobody really likes a soapbox or a platform to stand up and say, haha, I was right. Look at this guy. Look at this news site. They're talking about all the stuff that I'm afraid of, and you should be afraid of it too. It is 2018. It is time to move on from that way of thinking. If we want Linux to be popular and if we want Linux to be successful, we have to let go of this old archaic way of thinking. And that's all I have to say about that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. I appreciate your support, and thanks for watching.